Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zach and today I am driving a 2019 Buick Regal TourX. Up front is a 2.0 liter turbocharged inline 4 and down below is an 8-speed automatic transmission. Now I am super excited to be driving this TourX because it is a very weird and strange automobile. This was only produced from Buick from 2018 until 2020, so a rather short-lived model, and estimates are around 5,000 of these were sold in the United States. And so it's a rare, interesting, and fun vehicle, and that's what I am all about here on the Shooting Cars channel. But if you would like to submit your own vehicle, you can head on over to my website, zackpraedel.com/submit. It's a quick and easy submission form. It takes under a minute to fill out. I come out to you. But let's get back to that 2-liter inline 4 under the hood that has been turbocharged. Well, GM has used this in several of their other vehicles. Mostly I'm looking at the Buick Regal GS, which was another form or another flavor of this car, which had a 6-speed manual transmission, and I actually really enjoy those cars. But this makes 250 horsepower, which is a pretty fantastic number, and so far from the TourX owners that I've talked to, it seems to be reliable enough. It's not going to be the most bulletproof engine in the world because it's a turbocharged GM engine. What do you want? But 250 is solid, and a quick tune and intake can get you up to 300 no problem. Now, like I said, paired to it is an 8-speed automatic. That is the only way that these were ever optioned, and I just love the fact that it's not a CVT. I'll take anything but a CVT from GM. Last but not least, this is all-wheel drive. That's what that X at the end of TourX means. And again, this was the only setup that the TourX came in, was the all-wheel drive. There was no 2-wheel drive wagon, at least here in the United States. So how does it feel to drive a Buick Regal TourX? Well, it actually feels a lot bigger than the Regal that I drove in the earlier days. This feels like a pretty big car, and albeit it is a big car, but it definitely most certainly feels that way. Visibility is decent for a car from this era, the 2010s. Visibility wasn't a very high priority, so that's fine. Steering is actually lighter than I thought, but I wouldn't say it's overly light. And at the end of the day, it's a nice, mature, calming, adult driving experience, and that's what I want out of my Buick products. So with that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have 4 gauges. Off to the left is my tachometer, and the center is my fuel and coolant temperature, and off to the right is my speedometer. I also do get a little screen in the center. We've seen this in a bunch of other GM products, and I like it. It gives you some good information, and it has a decent amount of colors, which is sort of always my barometer for how high quality the screen is. On the steering wheel on the left, we have our cruise control option with voice commands and phone options and a heated steering wheel, and off to the right we have our skip track, volume, and selector dials. Off to the left we have a climate control vent, gauge dimmer switch, headlight switches, and fog lights. And moving on to the door, we have lock and unlock, power mirrors, and power windows. Underneath those buttons, we do get a power tailgate button, which will also allow you to only open it 3/4 in case you have a low-hanging garage or a bike rack on the back. Moving into the center, we do have a little infotainment screen. This is still Chevy/GM's modern infotainment system. So actually using this, it actually feels very modern, and I love that. I love that this car, although it's been out of production now for over 3 years, still keeps up with modern GM vehicles. Now, is that saying that GM doesn't update their stuff that much? Maybe. But this is still a very current feeling infotainment system, and I love that. The backup camera is lacking a little bit of quality, but it has one, and I'm not going to complain. Down below that, we have our hazard switch, home button, skip track, volume, and back button, as well as our traction control off. And then we have our climate controls. We do have auto climate, fan speed, where to send it, all those goodies, and dual zone, along with heated seats. So tons of fantastic climate options down below. Then we do have a 12-volt outlet in a opening cup holder, so we will do a big friggin' bottle test here in the Regal TourX, and unfortunately it fails. I kind of expected it to fail. However, there is a cup holder behind the shifter, and that also fails. Up in front of the shifter, we have this row of dead switches. I really don't like seeing this in cars, and that's a little bit annoying. But we do have parking sensors as one of the functional buttons. If you have any idea what these buttons would do in another trim level or another car, please leave a comment. But then we have the shifter itself. Pretty standard, straightforward shifter here from GM. I've seen this in a couple of different vehicles. I really like the way it operates. Quick, simple, easy button around the back. Bada bing, bada boom, we're in, we're out. Parking brake off to left, that failing cup holder we talked about earlier, and then we get a center console with a wireless phone charger in it. Again, just for 2019, that seems a little early. I know this was a good company, but I don't know. I just didn't expect to see a wireless phone charger. Then we got to talk about the seats. The seats are power and heated, which I love. Again, very, very comfortable automobile. Buick has always been very good about that. And so this one is no different, and it is quite lovely. The seats are also memory as well, which is a very nice feature. It's sort of hidden, but on the bottom of the seat. However, speaking of seats, we do have back seats. So let's go do a back seat review. All right, so we're in the back of the 2019 Buick Regal TourX, and right off the bat, knees, plenty of space, head, plenty of space. This is miles better than the Regal GS in manual that I drove in terms of rear seat space. I also do get 2 climate control vents. A lot of manufacturers forget about this or don't choose to put vents back here, so I love seeing that. And I get 2 USB chargers. They are USB-A, but again, you know, this car is 3 or 4 years old. I do get fold-out cup holders in here as well, and overall, I am blown away by the back seat space. Again, I can sit normally like this, even, you know, straightening my back like my chiropractor told me to do, and knees are not hitting, head isn't hitting the ceiling. I am very comfortable. I'm 5'11" and not a small guy, so you are going to be able to fit back here with tons and tons of room to spare. However, I do want to say, I always forget to say this. If you are a tall person, if you're a big guy, big gal, whoever it might be, GM, for whatever reason, gives the most space for scooting the driver's seat back. My friend's dad had a Buick, and he had it all the way back. He was almost 7 feet tall, and he could drive the Buick comfortably. So GM does it very, very well, where if you're a bigger person, GM is going to be your friend, at least in terms of size. That's very notable back here in the back seat. I would gladly ride back here down to North Carolina, 11, 12 hours each way. I would be perfectly happy. Let's hop out. We'll take a quick look at the trunk and cargo space, and then we'll talk about the looks. All right, so we're on the back of the Regal TourX, and it has one of my favorite features on any car or any wagon is a power liftgate. More wagons need, well, we need more wagons in general, but more wagons need to have that feature. Once we are back here, tons and tons of space. This is one of the high points, if not the high point, of the TourX. Now we do have a 12-volt outlet in here as well. Love to see that. We get a giant privacy cover. We can pull all the way out, things of that nature, and those seats do go down as well. But just so much real estate back here. It makes the TourX so incredibly practical, and I absolutely love it. Now we gotta talk about the looks, and this is unmistakably the coolest part, at least in my opinion, of the Regal TourX. It is a wagon from an American company. Now, it should be known that this was built, designed, manufactured in Germany. This is, for all intents and purposes, a German car, but it's from an American brand. And so I will be calling it American, but just know that it is actually built in pretty much 100% German. But it's cool to see an American badge, we'll say that, on a wagon. As of now, there is no American brand putting any of their badges on a wagon vehicle sold here in the US. We don't get really many wagons as it is, but no current American company is making one. And so this was actually the last one. So looking at that, it's a very visceral experience, sort of realizing that this was the end of a bloodline that Buick has going way back to the 1950s and 60s. My mind immediately goes to the Buick Roadmaster or this wagon Caprice I saw in traffic yesterday. So with all of that being said, let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think finally driving a Buick Regal TourX? Because this has actually been one of my bucket list cars for many, many years. I've been trying to find one to drive. I'm so happy I was able to this time around. Well, I actually really love it. I keep saying it, but it is a lot bigger and a lot longer than I was expecting. Not a bad thing in the slightest, but just something I wasn't ready for. I always remembered the Regal as a more compact little car, but I guess I'm sort of mixing that up in my head with the Buick Verano. I think Buick actually, and I haven't said this in a long time, I think Buick knocked it out of the park with this car. Because let's break it down on paper. 2-liter turbo making 250 horsepower, 8-speed automatic, all-wheel drive. Love that combo. Of course, I wish it was optioned to manual, but I will not complain today. Fantastic drivetrain. Okay, let's get that out of the way. Technology. Good technology, current up-to-date infotainment system, heated seats, heated steering wheel, power seats, nice materials in here. It doesn't feel like a base model Cavalier. It feels a lot nicer. Now let's take a look at the outside. I think it's a handsome and well-styled vehicle. It's lovely. Love that. Perfect. And last but not least, it's incredibly practical. The power rear tailgate and just wagon-esque of the car is wonderful. Grocery getter, sure. Soccer run, sure. Fun, scenic drive, of course. It can kind of do everything. It's a Swiss Army knife of automobiles. And so altogether, this really is, I don't know why I'm shrugging. This is my favorite modern Buick, end all be all. I mean, there's no argument there. Any other modern Buick product just falls flat on its face when parked next to this car. Because other Buicks aren't as practical. Other Buicks aren't as fun. Other Buicks don't have all of the awesomeness that this car does. And so, for that reason, this is my favorite modern Buick. And I don't feel like I'm going out on a limb while saying that. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Danny for letting me take out his TourX Regal. I mean, so exciting. I've been wanting to drive one of these for a very, very long time, and Danny has given me that opportunity. He has been absolutely wonderful to work with. Very, very knowledgeable as well, which is always, always appreciated when filming these videos. I can't thank him enough for coming out this way to let me drive his TourX. What an absolute amazing machine. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.